Hello and welcome to the Out of the Sandbox video guide to the Retina 4.0 Shopify Theme homepage setup, now using Shopify Sections. Today we're going to take a look at how you can go from a fresh upload of the new version of the Retina theme to a highly customized version that will look just like this Austin Leather Goods demo shop, which we will be using as our model for this tutorial. So it will look just like this at the end of the day. So first and foremost, let's take a look at what we're already working with on the Shopify admin panel. So here I am on my admin panel, and I can go here to Products, where you'll see we already have a selection of products, and these products have product titles and descriptions, types, tags, images, prices, all of the attributes that you would expect to see with a product. Additionally, these products have been categorized into a couple of collections. The products and collections are part of the Shopify platform, so if you needed any assistance on configuring products or categorizing them into collections, take a look at the Shopify documentation, where you will find all the resources you need to help you out in that area. Additional to the products and the collections, here in the online store section, under blog posts, we have some blog posts. These blog posts have content, titles, featured images, and you'll notice that they also have excerpts, and I'll show you why that's important a little later on. Additional to blog posts, we have these pages. These are just the pages that we'll be using for the homepage content. Finally, we have these menus set up in the navigation settings, and I'll show you why they're set up the way that they are here shortly. So these are all the components that are on the Shopify platform itself. Let's take a look at what comes with the theme here. So here we are on the themes panel. Now, depending on how you purchase the theme, this step will be different for you. So if you purchase the theme through the online store on outofthesandbox.com, then you would have received a zip file in your email that you can download and upload to the Shopify admin panel just like this. Alternatively, if you purchase the theme through the Shopify theme store, you can expect the theme to be added to your admin panel automatically. So here it's been added in an unpublished state to my admin panel. I'm just going to go ahead and publish the theme here. So any changes that we make will occur to the live version of the shop. And so here it is loading up, and I'm going to go to Customize Theme to take a look at the built-in theme settings. So here we are with the new Sections settings on the left, and the preview window here on the right. So any changes that we make in the settings on the left will update right away in the preview window here on the right. The settings on the left here are split up into sections, which are based on the page that's being viewed in the preview window, and the general settings section. So just to touch on the sections here again, since we're looking at the home page, we have homepage sections appearing here in the sections area. If I wanted to see the settings associated with a product page, I would need to navigate to an actual product page here, and then I would have access to the product page settings. Likewise with collections. Now, we will be doing a video about configuring product and collection pages, so we'll be looking at these settings in more detail later on. But that's just to give you an idea that to access certain settings here in the sections area of Customize Theme, you need to navigate to that type of page. So since we're working on the home page today, we'll stay on the home page and take a look at the home page sections that appear here on the left. We'll take a closer look at these sections here in a moment, but first let's jump over to this General Settings tab, because I'd like to show you my recommended first step, and that's to go down here to Change Theme Style. So we'll look at these general settings in a moment, but first go to Change Theme Style, where you will see we have these 4 theme styles: Austin, Montreal, Melbourne, and Amsterdam. These theme styles are combinations of typography, color, and background settings that will change all at once, and they are based on the 4 Retina demos. So this is Amsterdam here. We've got Melbourne, Montreal, and then our actual model here, the Austin Leather Goods demo. So depending on which of these 4 demos seems closest to how you envision your shop, I would suggest using it as a jumping off point to set all of those color, background settings, and typography settings all at once, but do it before you go to experiment with these settings on your own, as choosing a theme style will overwrite your previous customized theme setting decisions. So we're going to go ahead and choose the Austin preset, which is kind of the default one here anyway, and choose to change theme style. So what that did is it went in and it changed a bunch of color settings. So it's here that you will find all of the settings associated with colors on the shop, including backgrounds. So whether it's background colors or background images, they're all found here in the color settings. Then typography, so the typefaces used throughout the shop are all set here in the same section of settings. Additional to a few of the settings that we're going to be looking at for the home page, we have the currency converter, which we have enabled, and it's appearing here in the header. The search feature is enabled in the header right now, and you can decide whether you want it to search through product data, which includes product tags and types and product descriptions, or whether you'd like for it to search through everything, which would include blog content and page content as well. Finally, we have the social media settings here, and it's by entering the URLs of your social media outlets into these fields that you will have the social media icons appear up here in the header, as well as down here in the footer. So those are all of the general settings associated with the homepage. So let's take a look at the actual meat and potatoes here and go to this Sections tab and look at these settings. Starting at the top of the page with the header. So here are my header settings. I'm going to start by selecting a logo. Now we've got a couple of logo settings here. We've got a logo and a secondary logo, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to jump over to my demo here, and as you see, whenever we're at the top of the page, we've got this white logo, since that's what works best over our colored slideshow image. But as we scroll down the page, or as we navigate to any other page on the shop, we'll see the primary logo, which is this dark logo. So that is configured by going here and choosing the dark logo as the primary logo. And then the secondary logo, which appears just over the homepage content, is selected here. And I've got the white version. So you can do that on your own shop depending on the background colors and the colors of the slideshow images that you're using, if you happen to have a slideshow in the first position there. So that's the effect that it has. You can also select to have a mobile logo, and here's why. So I'm going to jump down here to small screen to see a mobile preview, and we can have the logo appear like this, but if we wanted to just have, let's say we have a stylized version of this A as a logo, perhaps that would work better on mobile. So you've got the option of selecting a mobile specific logo there. Jump back to the full screen view. And now that logo is a bit big for our liking, so we can adjust the width here with this logo display width setting. Following that, we have our main menu setting. So this is where we choose one of the menus that we've configured in our navigation settings to appear here in the header. So here's our main menu, and as you see, we've got a drop down appearing under the products link and under this links link. And under the wallets link in the drop down, we even have these indented links. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Beside the main menu setting here, we can jump over to the navigation settings using this edit menu link. And here we are in the navigation settings. This is the actual main menu. And in the menu, we have a link titled products. We also have a link titled links. If we go back to our main navigation settings, you'll see that there's also a menu titled links and a menu titled products. So that's how you create that drop-down menu, is by naming a subsequent menu with the same name as one of the titles of the links in the parent menu. If you do that again, so as you see in the products menu, we have a link titled Wallets. If you create another menu with that title, that's how you create the indentation of the, in a sense, the second tier of the menu. So here that is, with the indented links here. After you select your main menu, we've got this main menu drop-down links in first column, which is a bit of a confusing name here, but here's what it does. So here we've created this links drop-down, and as you see, after 10 links, it starts to create a second column of links in the drop-down. Well, as you see, that has created, in a sense, a big gap below the 12th link. Well, we can, in a sense, even them out by selecting 6 here as the main menu drop-down links in first column, which will make it that there's 6 links in each column of that drop-down. So that's how you use that setting. We have a couple of settings here to control the amount of space between the top of the page and the menu or the logo. And then this setting actually, at the content area top padding setting, applies to other pages, not the home page. If you find that you've got a very tall logo, and that is creating a header that is covering your content, you can increase the setting there to bring the content out from below your header. A few settings that you can enable and disable in the header here. We've got the display of the social media icons. We have the search function that can be enabled and disabled. The header itself, you see right now, continues to appear at the top of the page even when we scroll. That is this sticky header setting, and it can be enabled and disabled. And finally, as you see here, the header has a transparent background when it's appearing over the first slideshow here. We can turn that off so that it has a solid background color followed by the slideshow instead of appearing transparently above it. We can add an announcement message here, which will appear above the header, with a few options to bold and italicize the text, and then you can have that link to a page or a product, collection, blog post, using this selection here. Of course, any of the settings for the announcement bar text or the announcement bar background color are in the color settings within the general settings area. So with our header in good shape, let's head back to this master sections area here. And instead of jumping into the body of the homepage, let's scroll down to the bottom and configure the other common element, meaning an element that will appear on all of the pages of the site. So first we have this copyright text setting. If you wanted to show some additional text in the copyright text area, right down here. The theme designer credits can be enabled and disabled, and I don't have any payment gateways set up on my demo shop, but the payment icons would appear here in the footer as well, which can be enabled and disabled. The footer is also made up of these 4 columns that you see here, and the content can be selected in the section style. We have created our first area of content here to be the newsletter sign-up. And below that, we have the ability of showing the social media icons there. So each one of these content blocks has the ability of showing the social media icons. But if I were to, in a sense, correspond with the demo, there's actually 2 more content blocks here. There are 2 menus. There's a section of page content, and there's a section that holds the newsletter sign up. So this area of text actually isn't there. And instead we'll choose a page. And then the order of them, if I remember correctly, it is a menu, a newsletter sign up, and then, some additional information, and then a newsletter sign up. So as we actually expand these settings, we'll see that we can choose our footer menus. And we can choose our page content here. If you have page content that has links within it, then this is the best way to display that content. Alternatively, though, you could use the text type of content here, where you can add a title and text right in this box. However, you can't add links within this box. You can just do limited formatting. All right, and there's our footer configured to look just like the demo. Go ahead and save that. All right, now back to our master sections list, where we're going to take a look at the actual sections that are populating this page. Before we configure the sections, let's do a quick overview of what these various sections are for the home page. To do that, I'm going to go here to Add Section. These are our options of sections for the home page, starting with, and so as I choose the section, we get a preview here on the right, and it won't actually be added to the shop until we use this add link to add it to the layout. So I'm just going to give you a preview here. Collection list is a listing of collections as opposed to a listing of products, whereas a featured collection is a listing of products. So you'd be able to choose a collection using that section. We have the featured promos section, where you can choose images and links along with captions. The gallery, where you can choose images, and clicking on the images opens the image in a light box. This image with text section. This is the image with text overlay, which is like a banner. A logo list, where you would generally put in the logos of whether they're publications or places that your product has been featured. We have the slideshow. We have featured products here, which will do a highlight or a spotlight on specific products right on the homepage. In social media, we have this split section of blog posts and Twitter feeds. We have the Instagram feed here. This text section, you can choose a regular page of page content to have it appear on the homepage. A rich text and image is like that, but without choosing a page. Instead, you configure it right in the settings. You can choose images, text, and some formatting options. We have this testimonial section, and finally a featured video section. So, with that in mind, knowing what the sections are, my suggestion for the next step on creating your homepage is a cross between experimenting with these sections to see what the settings are that are associated with the sections, while also trying to create a sequence of sections that you will be using for your shop. So you could look to one of the demos for that kind of information, which is what we'll be doing for our example. So as you see here with our Austin Leather Goods demo, the homepage starts with a slideshow, followed by a section of what could be page content or it could be rich text. We've got these featured links appearing, followed by a section of a featured collection with a sidebar. This is some page content appearing in a page section. Another featured collection section. Here is the image with text section. We have this section, again, another featured collection. Here's that logo lists section. Here's that blog section, showing just the blog, no Twitter feed. And then finally the Instagram section before we reach the footer. So, hopefully that's the result of your design period as well, is that you can come up with an idea of a sequence of sections that will tell the story of your product and help your shoppers navigate to the product to get them adding it to the cart and proceeding to the checkout. So I've got my sequence of sections in hand. Let's jump back over to the settings here and make it happen. So instead of trying to reconfigure the sections that are already appearing in the default layout, I am going to remove all of those sections except for the first slideshow, under the impression that our homepage is also starting with a slideshow. So just quickly going through and deleting all of these sections so that I have just the slideshow here. And I'll jump into the slideshow section. So here are the settings associated with the slideshow, starting with some animation settings. Choose between a fade or a slide style of animation. And you can choose the period of time between the sliding of each slide, 4, 6, or 10 seconds. Then the content area of the slideshow settings are the slides themselves. So here we have 2 slides configured. We can expand the settings here to take a look at what our options are. I'm going to go ahead and upload my first slideshow image. And then below the image settings, we have our caption settings. So we can choose a heading and a subheading for these slides. Beside the actual caption, we can choose the position of the text, whether it is positioned left, center, or right. And we can choose the alignment of that text as well, being left, center, or right. We also have the ability of adding a button to any of the slides by adding a caption here in the button label setting, and then setting a link by either entering a URL here or by choosing a link out of the links that pre-populate in this list. So there's one slide. I'm actually going to leave the button there and then configure this second slide here. So that we've got these 2 slides configured. And change the text position here to work with the slide, along with the alignment as well. And that's all there is to it when it comes to configuring these slides. And the caption settings that we have just gone through are going to be very similar for the image with text overlay sections or banner sections, as well as the preview banner that appears above the video section. So we've got our slideshow all set here. Let's jump back to the master sections list and be sure to add our next section, which is a section of rich text and images. So here we'll select it from the list and add it. Looks good. So we could add an image here if we'd like. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and just have this look like the demo. So I'm going to remove the heading, and I'm going to copy the text that is in the demo and add that as my rich text. I can choose between regular or large text size, and then the alignment can be left or centered. We can also add a label for a link that will appear at the bottom of that text, which looks something like that. And we can have it go to any of the pages that we would like. So there's that next section, rich text and image. If I wanted to, I could have created a page with some centered text and then added that page instead of using this rich text and image section. Up to you. Our next section is a section of featured promos. So I'm going to go ahead and add section and choose featured promotions here. There's the default appearance. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the storefront. First, we have some animation decisions to make, whether we want to go with the circle animation. We have the crossed lines, the double underline, and the single underline. So those are various animation styles that you can choose between. I'm going to use crossed lines like the demo. And like the demo, we have these 3 promos. We could choose between 2 or 4 as well if we'd like. And that would have to match up with the number that we have, the number of promos that we actually have selected here in the content area, so that it would be a divisor or divisible by the features per row setting, so as to avoid any blank spaces in the layout. Let's expand the promotion to see what the settings are here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose my first promo image here, and we've got this suggestion of 420 pixels wide as a minimum. So here's my first featured image here. I'm going to go ahead and select it. And then we can change our heading. And then select a link. I'm even going to look for this link here. Got one product, the vintage messenger bag. So that link is all set up. Now, the alignment looks a little bit funny here, but once we select images for these other two promos that are of the same dimensions as this promo image, then this alignment issue will be negated. Let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to go ahead and select these other images behind the scenes, and I'll be back in a moment to show you the result. And we're back. So behind the scenes here, I've just configured the other two featured promos by selecting their images and their link destinations. So really as easy as that. So I'm going to jump back to the master sections list here and add our next section, which is a section of a featured collection. We're going to go ahead and add it. And here we have our options. First, we have this heading. I'm going to change that up. Then we get to choose our actual collection here. I've got a selection of homepage items. So I've selected these items specifically to appear on the homepage. So you can do that too on your admin panel. You just go to Products, into Collections, and then create a collection, and then choose to manually select the products. And that way you can manually select which products appear in this specifically curated collection that is just for the homepage. So these are the two products I have selected. I'm going to choose 2 products per row, which works for the number of products in the collection. And if we wanted to, if we had a larger collection, we could limit the number of products that appear on the homepage. We're going to include the sidebar with this collection here. And I have created a menu for the sidebar. It looks just like that, to allow access to these collections here from this area of the homepage. You can always use this edit menu link to jump right over to the navigation settings to adjust the destinations of the links in that menu. The sidebar also has the ability of showing collections, the tags associated with the products in the collection, the various types associated with the products, and then the vendors. So there's no tags on these products, which is why we don't have a tags section appearing. Finally, we could even have a section of page content, hopefully short enough that it would make sense to appear here in the sidebar, but that can also be enabled, all in this area of sidebar settings. But I'm going to go ahead and remove everything except for that one specific menu, the shop menu. Great, so with the first featured collection set up, I'm going to jump back to my master sections list here and show you a section of page content. So I'm selecting the page content section here and adding it, and then I'm selecting the page that I've created on the Pages platform. I'm going to use this page here. This is a fairly robust piece of page content. We've got an image on the left, and we have some text on the right featuring links and a button. So this isn't a normal section of page content. Instead, we've used some creative HTML markup to create a interesting layout for this piece of page content, and I'll show you what it looks like here in our pages area. If we go to this page that I've created and flip over to the HTML editor, you will see that the content is separated using these column classes, a 9-column class here. We've got a 7-column class here. So there's an article, and I believe also a video, on how to use the column framework to create interesting layouts. So I'm going to refer you to that video and that content to help you out with creating these interesting layouts. This preview window here is not accurate to how it will actually render once it's displayed within the theme. And by using those column frameworks, those column classes, you can create a piece of page layout that looks like this, with an image on the left and text here on the right. The best part about these sections here is that they can be reordered. You just simply click and drag the section, and the preview window will show you how that section will appear in its new adjusted location. After this piece of page content, we have another featured collection, which I will add here quickly. adding this guitar cases collection with no sidebar. Following that, we are into our image with text section. This is what it looks like by default. We're going to go ahead and add that. We have two options for the layout. We can go full width, which will span the full width of the window, or we can go standard, which will constrain the images and text to the column framework. The alignment of the text that you see there can be left, center, or right. We're going to set it to center. We have some suggestions for your image sizes here, just like we do for the slideshows and for the banners. And right down here in our content area is where we can add and reorder these pieces of content. And if we expand them, we can see the actual settings that we get to play with. So I'm going to start by adding an image. How about this one here? With the heading, backpacks for grown-ups. Similar to featured links, we have settings for text, and we have settings for the link as well as the button label itself. So that's how you create one of those image with text links. I'm just going to go ahead behind the scenes here and configure the second one, and I'll be right back. And we're back. So as you see, I've used those same settings to configure the other image with text. And as you see, I've even used the bold feature here to add a bit of styling to that text. Just want to show you another couple of tricks with these text boxes here. If I wanted to render text on the next line, I could use Shift-Enter and then add some text. If I was looking to create a new paragraph instead, use just the Enter key on its own. And that will create a new paragraph. So just a couple of tips. So besides italicizing and bolding your text, you can also add those page breaks or those new paragraph areas by using those quick keyboard shortcuts. So we're going to go ahead and save that the way that it is, go back to our master sections list here, and add our next section, which is another featured collection. So we'll just go through this real quick since you've already seen two featured collections added to the storefront. These are our wallets, our favorite wallets. We've created a collection that has our wallets in it already, and we'll leave this section without the sidebar. Let's add that next section, which is the logo list. So here's the logo list's default appearance. I'm going to go ahead and add it, and we have a heading setting first. So there's our heading, and we can add logos as content. As we expand the logo, we see that we've got a link option if we'd like to link out to wherever those logos are representing. And then we've got the actual image setting here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose one. And there it is, added to the layout. So similar to the other sections, until they're all configured with similarly sized images, they'll look a little bit funny. So behind the scenes here, I'm going to quickly configure the rest of these logos, and I will be right back. And we're back, and it was as easy as just configuring those other images here to have this section look complete. So we'll go ahead and save that, jump back to our master sections list, and add our next section, which is this section of blog and Twitter feed. So there's the default appearance. We're going to go ahead and add it. And start by configuring this blog posts area here. So we can change up the heading to say something else. And this is where we select the blog that has been created on the Shopify platform. And then we choose the number of posts that we'd like to display here. The text that appears alongside the blog post on the homepage is actually the excerpt text of the blog post. So if you'd like text to appear on the homepage, whenever you're showing off your blog posts, make sure to add text to that excerpt field. For your homepage, it may interest you to disable the author and the date, the comment count, even the continue reading link, under the impression that shoppers will know that clicking on the title of the article will lead to the full article page, but this will keep your homepage nice and tidy without adding this extra info that might not be important for the homepage itself. For the Twitter feed, you simply enter your Twitter username here and it will pull up the feed. You can change the title. If you're using a dark background for this section, then you're going to want to use the dark Twitter theme here, which will have a lighter color for the text, which will look correct against a dark background. Since we've got a light background here, we're going to keep it on light, and then you can choose the number of tweets that you have. Now, to be specific and following our model, we don't actually have this piece of content in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove the Twitter content, leaving just the blog posts, and that section is complete. Go ahead and save that. And then add our final section before we get to the footer, which is this Instagram feed. So Instagram feed can be added just like that. Here, this is where you enter your Instagram access token. To generate one, use this question mark link here, which will bring you to the access token generator. Generate an access token, copy it here, and paste it into this setting, which will allow your Instagram feed to appear. And you can choose the number of rows of images that appear in the feed. Fantastic. So taking a look at our model compared to our version, it looks like we have configured all of the sections in the order that they appear on the demo homepage. But I'd like to show you the rest of the sections that we don't have enabled here, just so that you know what you have at your fingertips when it comes to configuring your own homepage. So to do that, I'm going to go to Add Section. Collection List is one that we don't have in our demo, so you can change the title of that, the number of collections that appear in a row. Then the title and the number of items that appear here can be enabled and disabled. The content for a collection list are your selections of collections, which can be done just like that. And the image that is pulled up will be either the collection featured image, the first product image of a product that appears in that collection, or finally an image that you select specifically from within these settings. So heading to these links will go to collection pages connected with these images. So besides the collection list here, what are the other sections we haven't taken a look at yet? So we've got the gallery. So the gallery is fairly straightforward. You can change the title of it, whether it's a full width gallery or whether it is just within the column framework, and the number of images that appear in the gallery. The content of the gallery are the images themselves. So it's here that you can upload images of your choice, which will appear in that gallery format. Then clicking on it will open the image in a full-size lightbox. So that's how you can create image galleries using a section like that. We have the featured products, which is a way of featuring a product directly on the homepage. You can change the title of the section or remove the title entirely. The description is this area here that appears beside the product image, and you can remove that from this section. The vendor can appear, and then currently the products are staggered as you see, but they can appear in line like this. The content of a featured product section is the actual selection of the product. So here we'll choose a couple of demo products just to show you what this looks like once it is all populated. And this is what it looks like with the description still intact. So a great way of featuring your top products right on your homepage and funneling your traffic to the cart and to the checkout. And we have this testimonial section here. A great way of adding testimonials from happy customers. You can change the heading. enable transparency, and then the content is the actual testimonial itself. So you've got that text box. Again, you can use the Shift-Enter trick to render text on the next line, or use just an Enter key to start a new paragraph. And then you've got these additional settings here to add a link, and then specify the destination of the link if you'd like to add a link with your testimonial. And so that'll just about do it. We have gone from a fresh upload of the theme to a version of the theme that looks very similar to the Austin Leather Goods demo. If you had any questions or you hit any snags, please don't hesitate to go to support.outofthesandbox.com, where you can search for your question and find a plethora of resources to help you out on your way. My name is Sean Campbell. Thank you for joining me for this video guide. Take care.